You guys have to excuse the background noise. It's decided to monsoon today. Nothing I can do about that. So listen, this morning I got here and I was ready to rip the head off of our 4-liter Jeep to replace what I suspect to be a blown head gasket. So how did I determine that it's a blown head gasket? Months ago when we picked this thing up, I got the engine running and it had a pronounced miss. And so I grounded each of the plug wires and found that there was no reaction when I grounded cylinders number 3 and number 4. Now that told me immediately that there's most likely a break in the head gasket between those 2 cylinders. The other 4 were fine. So for me, this is good enough. Let's pull it apart and see what's going on inside. But then I realized just now, as I was ready to dig in, that I'm shortchanging a lot of the people who follow this channel who are really trying to learn the ropes, and they're trying to learn troubleshooting, they're trying to learn procedures and stuff like that. And it's like, okay, my snap diagnosis is good for an experienced mechanic, but it does nothing for somebody trying to learn. And what is the right way to determine whether it's a head gasket or not, or any internal engine issue concerning compression. So I says, let's dedicate a video to just the basics of doing a compression test. It's a very simple thing. It can get complicated when you start to get into leak downs and everything else, but for our purposes and trying to diagnose a basic engine misfire, a basic engine problem that's compression related, this is all you really need to know. So first thing I found when I was preparing to shoot this is that none, and this is particular to these Jeep 4-liters, none of the adapters I have for my current compression gauges will fit this engine. The spark plug is recessed down into the head, and none of my normal compression gauges have a fitting that will work in there. So I had to run to Harbor Freight and I picked this up. It was like 35 bucks or so. It's a Pittsburgh compression tester, and so these are the various adapters for the different types of spark plug that you're going to come across. And then they have these. So this is what I'm going to have to use on this Jeep. So you just hook the gauge to this and force the rubber end into the spark plug hole. And you have to hold it there while you crank the motor. So now before you can do an effective compression test, you need to be able to crank the motor. So obviously, battery's got to be up, starter's got to be good, and you have to have a way to crank the engine. You're going to need to spin the motor 3 or 4 revolutions to get a compression reading. So it's not like you're going to go just like 1 revolution, or I should say 2 revolutions would complete 1 cycle on a cylinder. You've got to spin it a few times to actually get a compression reading on it. So now we've got a gauge that'll work on this engine, and we have a way to crank it. So I'll show you on this. Here, since I'm working by myself, I don't have anybody who can spin the key. Here I pulled the starter relay out, and now I've got a jumper wire in the relay, and I can crank the motor like this. So I can crank the motor with one hand and hold the compression fitting with the other. Now another thing you need to do ahead of time is open the throttle. So in this case, we just stuck a ratchet in here to get the throttle open. It doesn't have to be a wide open throttle, but to get an accurate compression test, there can't be any resistance at the throttle blades. Either it's carburetor or fuel injection. So we drop this ratchet down here to hold the throttle open. We'll talk about dry and wet compression testing in a couple of minutes. But right now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull the spark plugs out of here and mount this thing up on a tripod, and we'll go through all the motions. Okay, so we've got our plugs out, and this is an important first step, and it's a practice that you need to develop. Anytime you're doing engine diagnostic work and you're pulling the spark plugs, it's important to keep them in order, because they're the first clue. The spark plug is the first clue as to what's going on inside the cylinders. For instance, if you have a cylinder, let's say with a bad injector or a weak injector, the cylinder that's misfiring is going to show a very lean condition. Let's say you've got one that's the opposite, and it's just dumping fuel in there. That cylinder is going to be black. It's going to be carbon fouled or gasoline fouled. If it's oily, it means that oil is getting either up through the rings or down through the valve guides. So reading the spark plugs, and like I said, keep them in order. Reading the spark plugs and comparing them to each other is an important first step. Now in this case, we have a miss at number 3 and number 4. And here are those two cylinders. And you can see that they're dirty, but they're not wet, right? So in other words, they're not being gasoline fouled, and they're not oil fouled at all. There's no sign of oil getting in there. They're just dirty in general. So they're getting fuel, they're getting spark, they're not getting drowned in oil, and they're not getting drowned in gasoline. So therefore, we can continue on our suspected path of it being a compression problem. All right, so got our compression tester right here. On this one, we've got to use the angled adapter for the 2 end cylinders. We could use the straight ones for the 4 center cylinders. Also, you want to record your compression readings. So keep a piece of paper handy. I didn't have a piece of paper handy, so I just grabbed the Sharpie and I numbered 1 through 6 on the firewall here. So I'll just write those numbers down as we go along. So, okay, we've got our compression tester firmly held against the spark plug hole. Let's give this motor a spin. All right, and on this one we've got 119 PSI. Yeah, more, between 115 and 120 PSI, which is kind of on the low side. So if you had to draw a line in the sand, you could say that anything over 100 PSI, and I'm talking about a general, typical engine, anything over 100 PSI means you've got a functional but kind of weak cylinder. Anything under 100 PSI, it means you've got a hurt player. There's something going on in there. So I'm going to call this one we're going to go conservative. We'll call this one 115. And this engine has 264,000 miles on it. So, yeah, they're only going to seal so well. All right, let's switch adapters. And let's go for cylinder number 2. Oh, of course, you always have to zero out your gauge. Okay, this one's a lot healthier. So we've got 120, 130, approximately 140 PSI on that one. Number 3. PSI. And as I'm recording this, I'm hearing the compression sneak through cylinder number 4. So let's check number 4. And now we hear compression sneaking through number 3. The same 30 PSI. Now, just to confirm this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a spark plug back in one of these 2 cylinders. So I'm going to put it back in number 3. And with the plug back in number 3, I'm going to check compression on cylinder number 4. So we'll zero this out. And we've got the same 30 psi. Yeah, we're getting the same 30 psi. A lot of times when you've got two cylinders adjacent to each other with a blown head gasket, if you put the spark plug back in one of those two, you'll get a slightly higher reading on the other cylinder. But in this case, we're getting 30 pounds on each. But I'm not hearing the compression sneak through to the other cylinder. So this is an absolute confirmation that we have a breach between those two cylinders, and it's going to be the head gasket. That's really the only two things that'll do that. Now, I can do the next two to formally complete the process, but you get the general idea. I don't think I have to go any further than that. But now here's something that we should cover on this. Let's say, instead of having two adjacent cylinders that are dead, you've got just a cylinder that's dead all by itself, and you want to know, what is it? Why is this compression low? Because there's two things that'll give you low compression in a cylinder that doesn't have a blown head gasket. And one would be weak rings, okay, or worn rings, or broken piston. In other words, damage down below, or bad or not sealing valves. Usually be a burned exhaust valve, but it could be either of the valves off their seats. But do you want to know, is it going to be the rings? Is it going to be a hole in a piston? Is it going to be the valves? So what you do is take some regular motor oil. Now, I'll tell you what, let's go back and let's go to which one had the low compression. 115, number one cylinder had 115 psi. So let's go and let's throw some oil in this cylinder and see if it raises the compression at all. How much oil do you squirt in there? I mean, you obviously don't want to fill the cylinder. I'm trying to get this in here. There we go. You obviously don't want to fill the cylinder, but you want to get a good amount of it in there. And where's our tipper? Zero this out. Now you may have to crank it several times to get the oil to actually get all the way around the rings. So we're just going to let this thing spin. We got a lot of compression there. Okay, so by putting some oil in that cylinder, we've raised our compression to 155 pounds. Thereabouts. The calibration on this gauge is a little weird, but it's between 150 and 160 pounds. So that's a difference from 115. We picked up what, 40 pounds of compression more or less by squirting oil in there. So what that's telling me now is that the rings are weak on that. If it was a valve issue, the oil would not affect it because the oil is laying against the top of the piston and covering the rings. It has nothing to do with a gap or a hole that would be, let's say, in a valve. So if you put oil in the cylinder, crank it, and it raises your compression, it's telling you the rings are weak or bad. If it doesn't, it's telling you that it's not sealing on the top end, which would be valves. And if you get like zero compression, it means you got a hole in the piston. All right, I think that pretty much covers the world of doing basic compression testing. I don't think I left anything out of there. Now I have to wonder whether or not I want to re-ring this engine. Because that 115 is weak, I'm gonna debate that as I start tearing this apart. Luckily on these engines, you can do a complete rebuild. You can do a really nice rebuild on these, but I've never taken a block out of the car. So it's not that big of a deal. It'll be a judgment call, and I'll make it when I pull the head off. But that's it. I hope you guys got something out of that. I hope I covered everything. I'll see you tomorrow.